Conversation is going round. People talking about the girlies come to town. Fresh as a summer breeze, she'll take you by surprise.
Welcome to another fabulous episode of Fresh Waves. We have Jolana Pettifer in the studio this morning. Good morning, Jolana.
Good morning. It's so great to be here.
We always love having you in the studio. You're our once-a-month regular guest. Talk about decorating, how to improve your home, how to make everything look great. Last time you were here, we talked about renovations, and those are huge changes. Sometimes it involves reconstruction, tearing down a supporting wall, that kind of thing.
Adding an addition, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah.
But today, we are going to talk about small changes, big difference.
Yeah.
And each week before you're in, we always ask our listeners if they have any questions to send us their questions. And you've had a question about master bedrooms.
Yeah.
And it turns out that it's not so unusual. It's a question you get asked all the time.
It is, Brenda. So usually in a master bedroom, people have taken a lot of time to get great furniture, maybe years ago, not necessarily in the, in the near future.
Back when people believed that if you spent some money and got good quality, it would last forever?
Forever, yeah. So typically we have a budget. It's not a large budget. We want to make a big difference. How can we do it? So I call that a cosmetic detailing. And what does that mean? It means dealing with things that are not big ticket items, but can visually make a huge difference. So for example, and I know we've talked lots and lots about paint and how paint can completely transform a room. So things like painting, adding some crown molding possibly, which is not an expensive thing to do, but boy, can it make a big difference. I mean, you yourself have done some renovating, so you understand how, a small thing like that can make a big difference.
And I've also looked at some of the pictures on your website, and it is crazy the before and after kind of effect you get with crown molding.
Oh, yeah.
Because people don't understand how it
how
really
to work
finishes
with it.
a room.
Yeah, and also with crown molding, I mean, we're talking about paint, so this is a nice segue into it. With painting, what it offers you an opportunity to do is, sure, you could do white ceiling paint, and sure, you can do white ceiling crown paint, but if you wanted to do something a little bit more unique, why not actually do a color on your ceiling as well? So we're doing my powder room, as you know. I think we talked about this last week. We're doing a kitchen reno, laundry room, and powder room. So I'm actually using robin's egg blue on my ceiling.
Oh, nice.
With a white crown, and then I'm using gray owl actually as my wall color. So it's just a way to add a fun factor to it. I might not necessarily tell you to consider it for a main space that you live in all the time, because white gives the illusion of much higher ceilings. And sometimes to add a color, you have to be very, very careful how you address that. But that's a simple way to change it. And today, too, we're doing a lot of focal walls. So, for example, where your headboard might be with your nightstands, we might wallpaper it. We might actually put a different wall color there. So again, sometimes you don't even have to paint your full bedroom. Like if you're happy with your color, but you want to add some definition and some detailing, why not do a great wallpaper on your headboard wall, or a fun color as well?
Yeah, it's interesting. We just had Angela Dacey on the show for Valentine's Day. We were talking about different colors in different rooms and how the blues are really nice for sleeping.
Oh gosh, yeah, it's the psychology of color.
So putting a nice blue as your one accent wall. And if you've got a headboard against it, I remember when you and I painted one of my daughter's rooms, and she wanted a different color on each wall.
Yeah.
Yes. And now she says to me, Mom, the only problem with that room is that there's a different color on each wall.
That's what you wanted.
Okay. But it's funny how once you put a bed up against that wall, I think one of her
becomes
walls
like
is
a border,
green.
right?
It just was a border, and it's not a huge difference, and it doesn't make a gaudy statement. It's actually just a framing of the bed.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, like when you think of when you do framing, picture framing, if you do a picture without a mat, your eye kind of doesn't really see the definition. But as soon as you add a border with your frame and then your photograph or painting, whatever it is, it truly comes to life, and it takes your eye, and it brings you, it zooms you in. So doing a focal headboard, whether it's wallpaper or a color, does the same thing. You get that full impact as soon as you walk in. So painting is definitely one way to do it. Taking it to the next step, some people may have wood headboards, wood nightstands, wood dresser, wood armoire, and they feel, oh my gosh, there's just far too much wood in here. What can we do to still keep the majority of the pieces, because they're great pieces? So what we're doing a lot of is headboards, so upholstered headboards. So you're not...
They're quite popular right now.
Yeah, you're not getting rid of your whole bedroom suite, perhaps just putting your headboard, and it could even go into a guest room now. So you don't necessarily, you can repurpose it into another room or give it to the kids or care and share. There's lots of opportunities to do with furniture that you don't know what to do with. So choosing the right style for your headboard, there are, oh my goodness, there's countless styles out there. So you kind of have to zoom in on what kind of a look am I trying to bring into our bedroom. Is it a romantic look? Is it
So what would
more of a woodsy?
What would a romantic look like?
Yeah, so a romantic look would be more of a curved headboard or something that kind of goes up and down. It's not just a straight across, very clean, contemporary type of a look.
And then your bedspreads would match that romantic look with kind of a more romantic pattern.
Of course, yeah. Like usually what I say is on your main duvet cover, always keep it clean and classic. Where you can have tons of fun is your pillowcases, your shams, perhaps a great throw at the foot of the bed, because if you put a dedicated pattern on your duvet cover, you're going to have it for a while and you might get tired of it. So sometimes to stay more clean and classic, which could be white, it could be light gray, it could have some contrasting stitching on it to bring out an accent color. So you can definitely still keep that very neutral. And as we all know, our eyes like to see a change. So if you can do it in simple ways, as opposed to reupholstering your headboard every 2 years, which you're not going to do.
It sounds expensive.
Right? It's very expensive, yeah. So by adding some funness, and you know me and cushions, even adding some great accent cushions, kidney cushions, bolster cushions, that all creates that invitation. Like when people walk in, that you get the wow. Knowing how to layer a bed, it is critical. I know that sounds really funny, but when you see a bed, when it's been made up, that looks inviting versus a bed that just has the duvet cover pulled right up to the top with a couple of, pillows on top of it, the difference is huge. So sometimes it's not that you don't have a great bedding set, you just have not shown or you have not put the bed together in a way where you're creating your wow factor. Right. So your top sheet, making it really pretty, making a super nice, because your top sheet should fold over your duvet cover. Your duvet cover, right, will get folded back, then your top sheet. And then again, having some fun with your throws at the foot of the bed. In wintertime, do like a faux fur. Why not? It's a really romantic, fun way to add that kind of warmth factor. In the summer, do a floral, do a print. It's a way to change up your classic bedding, which is what I'm kind of saying. Start with your classic, and then have fun with all your accents and accessories that go with it. And when you're doing your headboard, stay with neutral colors. So what does that mean? It can be linen tones, it can be a navy, it can be light gray tones, but as soon as you get into reds, pinks, oranges, greens, understand that those are not considered kind of a neutral in the design world. It's not, I'm not saying don't do it, but you're really locking yourself into a look.
And in the energy of colors, you wouldn't necessarily want red anyway. It keeps you awake. It's not
you know what?
It's not soothing.
Have a beautiful bouquet of red roses on your nightstand. Yeah. Yay! What a great idea.
Blues are great for the bedroom, right?
Yeah, they are.
Nice tones.
All
of
variations
blue
of blues,
yeah.
from the aquas to the azures to the navies.
Greens are nice too.
Greens are nice too, but greens I tend to use that more in the natural factors. So, for example, florals or greenery, succulents. That's a really nice way to bring in your greens. Green on large pieces, again,
It has to be the right tone.
It has to be the right tone. So you
Well,
wanna
I
be a
see
little careful.
recently in a lot of magazines, especially magazines with the country style,
Yep.
everybody's doing these black and red checkers. And I'm thinking,
Yeah, it's
that
kind of
would
that
be nice for today, but it won't last.
I know, it's kind of that Canadiana feel. So what you usually find with a look like that is they'll do either a wallpaper or they'll do the real thing where they get barn board, for example, on the headboard wall. So it is definitely a type of look. Now, where we're finding that is very popular is at the cottages. Oh my
Right.
gosh, you can't get enough of it. And I think it's because when you go to a cottage, you've got so much of that natural element. The red and the black check just kind of brings you into that warmth and hominess within the room. So yes, you're right. They are showcasing a lot of it for sure.
Yeah. So on your headboard, for sure, you'd want to have something
more
there.
neutral again,
Yeah,
right?
something that's going to last and that you don't mind looking at.
Yeah. And also be really careful of your fabric choices, because if you do something like a velvet, everything's going to stick to it. It's a great look, but you're going to be vacuum cleaning it. You're going to be, and it also has a nap. So if you tend to be a reader and your head is going to go in the same spot every day, it's going to crush it. So be really careful what materials you choose. Vinyls are awesome. Vinyls, and they look
I've
like leather
never seen-
today.
Oh, isn't that something?
It has come such a long way compared to years ago. It's wipeable, it's cleanable. You don't have to worry about oils from the hair. And again, if you stay with the more neutral color, just have fun with all the accents that go with it. Linens are great too, but again, either buy a product that will protect it, spray it on.
They stain easily too, don't they?
Well,
Like
they
the
do if you
linens?
don't protect it.
Right,
Yeah,
okay.
they do if you don't protect it. And then, of course, you always get the question, tufting or no tufting. Tufting, you're going to be vacuuming it once in a blue moon.
What's tufting?
Tufting is where they take a headboard and then they put a thread from the front to the back and they put a button on it and
Right.
they pull it.
The little buttons.
Yeah, so anywhere where you have an opportunity for dust to collect, just understand you're going to have to do a little bit of wiping or cleaning. It's not the end of the world, but just know
It's higher maintenance than if
it's a
there's no
bit
little
more.
buttons.
Yeah, and you can add piping, you can add nail heads. So depending on the look that you're trying to create, if you want to make that headboard the star of the show, there's so many styles out there that will allow you to do that. So it's a really nice look. And then when it comes to your end tables, if they do not need any kind of refurbishing or painting, great new lamps. I mean, it's not a huge cost, but it can make a huge difference to the room. Lamp shades is something that tends to date a lamp. So sometimes it's as simple as adding, a new style lamp shade to an existing base. So it's all those little pieces that can make a huge difference. Even hardware on your existing dresser set. You may find if you want to go from stainless to nickel to the golds, there's so much out there right now where you can literally breathe some new life into it.
Without even having to refinish the piece, just
You don't
change
even
the
have
knobs
to
on it.
refinish the piece, yeah. Now, the other very popular thing at the moment is the cottage paint or the chalk paint.
Yes.
So depending on your look, if you want to go more for a little bit of a cottage look or a Cape Cod look, the painted is great. It's wonderful. The only caution I give everybody is if you're doing an end table, if you can keep your surface the wood tone, and you can change your wood tone, but if you keep it more the wood, down the road, you're going to thank me for that, because the first time someone drags a glass or cup of coffee across a painted finish, what happens?
It just scrapes,
It
right?
scrapes, yeah. So if you keep it more the wood tone, which looks really nice to have that combination look, again, it's not a lot of maintenance that you're going to have to worry about.
Okay. I think that's important to people. If they're going
It
to
is.
do a smaller change or something in middle of the road kind of a change. They want to do something that's got longevity but also has a bit of practicality, right?
Yeah. And again, you've heard me say it over and over and over again. Today's trend is tomorrow's old news. So if you're choosing something that's trendy, that's okay. Just remember you're doing it because you love it. You're not doing it because it is the trend of the day.
I think there's a mistake
critical.
people make sometimes when they refinish the furniture because they just all of a sudden don't want the look of natural wood.
Yep.
And they paint it black. And then you think to yourself, okay, 3 years from now when you no longer want it black, what is the process of getting it back to the wood?
Yeah.
And maybe black's not the color that you would want to choose. It's maybe too much of a pain to get it back to the regular color.
Well, we did in one room coral. Armoire, painted in armoire coral. Absolutely to die for, stunning. So you can definitely have fun with your colors, but understand that one coral piece is going to affect other items that you're going to put in there. Yeah. A lot of masters will have a lot of space, for example, at the foot of a bed. So you walk into the room, you've got everything nicely, appointed in the room. Everything looks great, but you got this huge dead space in the middle of the room. So simple ways to address that, maybe putting a really nice bench at the foot of the bed, but then putting a great area carpet. So whether it's a shag, whether it's an oriental, whether it's something contemporary, that carpet will take that void away from the room, and it actually becomes a really interesting factor. So again, another really simple thing to do that people don't think about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
so
okay. I can't, you know me.
Yep.
I get a story in my head, and you just mentioned at the end of the bed. We went looking at cottages, and it took us a couple of years to find our cottage because it's not unlike a home. It's a extra property, right? It's your dream place.
Beautiful.
So you just have to find the right one. So we were looking around. We found the funniest thing, a stockbroker in Toronto who had sold out and cashed out all of his stuff, moved up north, and decided to make this really trendy place. So I don't know whether they just didn't have space somewhere else. They put a toilet in the master bedroom.
I know.
And when we walked in,
Very
we thought,
European with an
why is
open
there a
tub, right?
No, just the toilet
Oh, that's odd.
in the middle at the end of the bed. And I thought, wow, what, you can't walk around the corner? It was so funny. And we laughed about it for years.
That's a no-no.
And we saw another cottage where they had a shower at the foot of the bed. And I thought, a glass shower. Only the shower, nothing else, no other bathroom features, just the shower. Apparently the man liked to watch his wife in the shower. And it's like too much information, and why would you ever do that as a permanent thing?
I don't know. To each their own, I suppose, right?
Anyway,
but no, it's
I
not
just had
uncommon.
to interject these funny things because, sometimes I like a fireplace in a master bedroom.
Yeah, it's
So at the
awesome.
end of the bed, it can't be a regular fireplace that's on the ground because you can't
higher
see it.
linear.
So you need it higher, and I've seen some beautiful applications of that. Again, sometimes it can be major, but if you're on an outside wall and it's a gas fireplace, it's not such a big deal,
but you
apparently.
can also do electric fireplaces too now. They've come a long way.
You
from
say
what they
electric
used to be,
fireplace, and I
right?
think 30 years ago, it
No,
was bad.
No, they were very bad. So, yeah, you can really, truly create some incredible interest, ambiance, lighting. I mean, to me, that's also critical. So especially now with the LEDs, people are really struggling with 5,000, 3,000. What Kelvins do I use? The higher the Kelvin, the bluer the light. So if you
blue light's good for a bedroom, isn't it?
No, you're better off with like a 3,000 for a bedroom. So it's a softer light.
Okay,
it's
softer.
not as bright. And make sure too that you have secondary lighting as well as your ceiling lighting, because most of the time you're not going to have both on at the same time. You're just not. So the ambiance, if you're going to have lighting at your bed, if it's something that you can have your electrician wired, that you can control it at your bed, it's great because you're not having to get out of bed every time you need to go and turn off your lights. You can just switch it right beside your bed. So
Right.
really simple things to do.
That's a good idea,
Yeah,
actually.
it is a nice little.
It's kind of like at hotels.
Yeah, it is.
You
yeah.
can often do it at
right?
a
Which is
hotel.
really nice. Yeah. If you're readers, there's also great applications for like a telescopic head that you can pull out. So if you're a reader, push it back when you're not. So really research before you go out and buy, like, how am I going to use this space? Will I be reading here? Is it more for sleeping? Do we want to just crash here? Do we want to read in this room? Those are all really, really important questions to answer before you even start. Otherwise, you'll end up with a room that doesn't do what you want it to do. Right? Yeah.
Because I see people usually have some sort of a light on their nightstand.
Yeah.
As well as the main feature light in the room.
Yeah, that's right.
So you have
Some
the choice
bedrooms
of both.
have pot lights, but typically in guest rooms we just do a center light, and of course you'll have the end table lights on the end of the beds. Master, quite a few people do request the pot lights in a master as well. So again, it's a bigger room, so your spread of light is a little bit wider when you've got a pot light as opposed to one center light.
Right.
And that could be part of it, but you can also do some really neat, like cove lighting, depending on what your room is like, the height of your ceilings, all those things. Again, they're a cosmetic change. They do not cost a lot of money to do.
But they make a big difference.
They make a huge difference, yeah,
Especially
absolutely.
to brighten up your space now that we're in the winter time and we've got a lot of dark. You wake up in the morning, it's dark.
it's
You go to
dark.
bed, it's nice, dark. It's dark,
yeah.
dark.
Yeah.
It's nice
And
to
even,
bring some light in.
Even draperies, they don't even have to be functional because most master bedrooms will have blinds of some sort where you've got your room darkening, for example, or privacy shades. But to add a couple of panels, if it's a window on either side, great rod hardware going across the top, it softens the look. It doesn't even have to be fully functional because you may never ever draw them all the way closed.
Right.
But to have those panels there, again, I can't tell you what a difference it makes. Artwork, oh my gosh, there's another inexpensive way to kind of add that cosmetic lift to a bedroom. And it can be everything from ready-made, mass-produced, to going out and actually doing some original art. But it's another great way to add some character to your rooms.
Yeah.
And the
Art's
height
awesome.
is critical. You don't know how many houses I go into and they've got them all mounted way too high, and then you truly do lose the whole effect of the room. So, that could be one of our callers calling in with a question.
Could be. And that's a good time for us to take a little break. You're listening to Fresh Waves. I'm your host, Brenda Masson. We're speaking with Jolana Pettifer this morning of Jolana's Exceptional Home Decor. And we will be right back. Stay tuned.